Hey there, everyone. My name is Ryan Schul. Welcome to my channel. This is Straight Data Science. So in the project today, I want to take a look at AI-based risk tolerance and do an assessment for people who want to invest in the stock market. We're going to look at a few different scenarios: conservative, moderate, and aggressive types of investing. And we're going to assign risk profiles to different stocks based on their historical performance, right? So how well does it perform over time? Is it generating a lot of money? Is it a good investment overall? Or is it bouncing around? It's really choppy. It's up and down all the time. And it's not really making a lot of return for us, right? So these are the types of things we're going to look at. And then we're going to get an AI tool basically to help us with investment recommendations. Okay, so let's jump into it. The goal here is to build a system that basically prompts users with a quiz to assess risk tolerance. The quiz is going to be very, very basic, 2 questions. Right now, we can elaborate on this. We can make this more dynamic, more interactive, do a deep dive. I'm just going to start with 2 just to illustrate the point of how this can be done. And I'm not saying this is absolutely the best way to do it or the absolute correct way to do it, but this is one version of the truth, right? This is one way that we can set up this risk tolerance assessment tool. So we're going to look at historical behavior and train a classification machine learning classifier to make predictions for us into the future. Again, looking at conservative, moderate, and aggressive types of risk profiles of the investor, right? And guide them to the best type of investment that's most appropriate for them. And we're going to recommend stocks according to the investment decisions that these people are making, right? We're going to look at desired returns. Do you want 6%? Do you want 8%? What, 10%, 12%? Do you want more, right? You can get more, but that's going to be more risky. If you want maybe 6 to 8%, that's a little bit more guaranteed. That's more, you can sleep a little bit better at night. It's more conservative, right? And you'll probably hit your target. If you want 12% or more, 15, maybe 20%, are you really going to get that? I don't know. There's a lot more unknowns. There's a lot more uncertainty there, right? You could hit the target, you can completely miss your target. So if you are aiming for a lower return, you're probably going to hit it pretty easily. If you're aiming for this astronomical, ridiculous type of return, 20% per year, year after year, are you really going to get that? Probably not, just to be honest with you, right? So we can compute the mean annual returns for stocks, right, based on historical performance. It's very easy to do. I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. We can look at the standard deviation of stocks. That's the dispersion or the variance of the stock's movement over time. Again, there's more riskiness, right? More riskiness correlates to higher potential return, right? But you could miss the target too. Lower riskiness or lower standard deviation corresponds to more guaranteed types of returns, right? And you see this all the time in CDs and treasuries. If you just want a small return, maybe 2%, 1.5%, that's pretty easy. That's close to guaranteed. You can't say guaranteed in the financial realm, right? That's actually illegal to do that. You can't guarantee anything because nobody knows exactly what's going to happen in the future with your investments. But it's pretty easy to say, okay, I can get pretty close to 1.5%, 2%, pretty easy. You want that 20%, and all bets are off. You might get it, you might not get it. Okay, so that's the trade-off there. So let me go ahead and go to this cell, run it, Control Enter to run, and this tool is going to ask for input from the user. Do you want to invest conservatively, moderately, or aggressively, right? I'm going to do moderate, M-O-D-E-R-A-T, spell out, and have a capital O. I don't think this is case sensitive, but the spelling does matter. You do have to put in like the right type of response here, right? Because the tool is going to act according to what you input here. So what's your annual return expectation? I'm going to put 8%. 8 is good for me. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now I'm going to go and look at the Dow 30 components. I can put anything I want in here. I can put the S&P 500. I picked 30 components from the Dow. If you want to go to and do this for yourself, you can go over here, just do a quick Google search. Dow 30. All right, and you can copy and paste that. Here's the Dow 30. We can put this into Excel. All right, and put some quotes around these strings. These are all strings, so we do have to put quotes around them, right? So if I go down here, down to the bottom, select, Control C, Control V to paste. Let me get my Excel set up over here. Okay, so I'm turning on Excel. And wait for that to start up. Okay, and it's thinking, doing. Okay, so we have Excel set up. Hope, fingers crossed, every time I start on this computer, I have to cross my fingers and hope for the best. You never really know if this thing is going to work or not work. And now we have 2. I don't really need 2. It's just going to slow things down even more. So let me paste this in, copy, paste. I can take off the hyperlinks here. These are hyperlinks, right? And then go over here, equals, double quote, single, double, and get this, double, single, double, and double quote, comma, double quote, close it off. There's a problem with the formula. What's the problem? Double, single, double. Did I put a double over here? Let me redo it. Double, single, double. Double, single, double. Oh, I'm missing it. I'm missing the ampersand. That's why. Okay. So now we have that. Okay. Anyways, you could probably figure that out for yourself. Copy and paste that over here. And you have the Dow 30 if you want the S&P 500 or any stocks you want, right? You can put in anything you want over here. I'm going to go back one step. The point is you can choose what you want over here, right? You choose the end date. The end is going to be today. Okay, so today's today. We're going to go back in time, 365 days times 5. So we're going to go back 3 years. This is 5 years back. 365 days, so that start date is that. And we can print these two just to confirm, right? If you want peace of mind, print end. Okay, Control Enter to run this. So here is the start date. That's actually today. The market is closed today. It's Saturday, but you get the point. It's going to go back as of yesterday. So yesterday will be the end date. It goes back in time 5 years. So it's 2020. And we have the mean daily return, standard deviation, annual return, and annual risk. So how am I getting these, right? So we have the mean daily return. This is very simple with Python. Just one line of code, returns.mean. We get all the returns, right, from data, percent change. Okay, so that's why I love Python. It's very, very simple. So %_change gives us all the returns. If I print the returns, you can see the returns. This could be a big, long list. I won't do that just because it might be a little bit confusing and get us off on track. We don't necessarily need to print it, but we do need the returns over here to get the average return. So if I do Control F, you can see returns is over here, returns standard deviation. So just 3 lines of code gives us most of what we have here. So data.%change, open close brackets, returns.mean, and then returns.standard deviation, and we're creating new columns in our data frame. Okay, so everything goes into summary. Summary is the data frame. So we have the mean daily return, the mean standard deviation, the annual return is the mean daily return times 252 times 100. We have 252 here because it's 252 trading days in the year. So if you take out all the weekends, all the Saturdays and Sundays for 52 weeks, that is about 100 right there. And there's about 11 holidays, right? So Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, what else? 4th of July, Thanksgiving, the market is closed, right? So we don't count these as trading days, right? The market is closed Saturday, Sunday, and for annual holidays. So we take those out. We just look at 252 trading days during the year. And to get the risk annual percent, we're taking the square root of 252 to get the annual risk over here, right? So a couple basic calculations. If you don't understand it, that's totally fine. You can go ahead and Google it, do some research. If you understand, that's great. So take my word for it. This is how you do this kind of stuff. Google it if you want to learn more about this, right? So we have the variables here, or the features here, the mean daily return, standard deviation, annual return, and annual risk for all of our stocks, right? So we're doing good. So I'm going to create some basic logic here. If the return and the standard deviation or if the standard deviation is less than 20 and return less than 8, these are kind of smaller numbers. It's not a big swing here. These aren't too choppy. I'm going to call these conservative. If standard deviation is less than 35 and risk is less than 12, I'm going to say this is moderate. Okay, so we're increasing standard deviation and returns a little bit here. This is pretty conservative. This is a little bit moderate. If it goes beyond these thresholds here, I'm going to say that this is aggressive. Okay, so I'm creating the user-defined function, assign profile right here, assign profile 1, and we are going to assign that to profile, control enter to run the cell. And now we have our logic appended into the same data frames, right? So if you look close, if you're paying attention here, mean daily return, standard deviation, annual percent, and annual risk, again, based on 252 trading days throughout the year, right? So we take all of that, create a little business logic. There's no AI here whatsoever at this point, but we're going to use it soon. So we create a risk profile for all of these stocks. So now based on the risk profile, we can go ahead and say, is this greater than the threshold that we picked originally? Remember, we answered these two questions right at the beginning. Is the risk profile conservative, moderate, or aggressive? I put in moderate, and I want 8% return. So it's going to look at all of these returns over here. So these are the actual returns, and based on these returns and this risk profile that I just assigned, we can go ahead and map all of this to the investment recommendations that we're choosing for this individual, right? So these are all moderate types of risk profiles, and the return is greater than 8%, right? So we took all these Dow 30 stocks, came up with 4 that would be recommended for this investor, right? They want greater than 8%, but it's a moderate risk profile for this investor. Let me do one more scenario here, just so you can get an appreciation for what this thing is doing. If I go control enter down here and I put aggressive, and I want greater than 10% or greater, you always want more, right? So 10% would be the minimum that I'm willing to accept. And of course, there's no guarantee, right? You can't say guarantee in finance, it's actually illegal. So you could get less than 10%, but I'm saying I want to try to achieve, I want to aim for 10% or higher. That's what I'm trying to go for here. So control enter to run this. I said aggressive profile, right? So it's going to go map all those stocks based on what I selected. Now I want 10% return, and I have more of an aggressive risk profile. So these stocks are now recommended to me, right? Before I had 4, now I have 19 stocks, right? So this is sort of like the sort of stocks I want to be invested in based on historical performance. And again, into the future, this could be different, but NVIDIA's got 70% return. Goldman Sachs is 31%, and so on and so forth, down to Home Depot is 12%, and CRM, customer relationship management, I think this is Salesforce right here. So the risk profile is within our tolerance. I put aggressive, and the return matches what I wanted before, so 11%, right? I said 10 or higher. All of these stocks historically have gotten 10% or higher, right? So based on that, I can now use a normal distribution technique to approximate the probability of achieving these returns into the future. So we know backwards looking, we know that NVIDIA got 78% return over the time period that we're looking at. We're looking at 5 years back, right? That's what we originally picked, right? If we go back over here, this is 5 years. And of course, you can change this. You can change all these stocks, the tickers that you're looking at, right? You can go back more than 5 years. You can go back 3 years or 2 years. It's totally up to you what you choose, right? But based on that historical, we know what NVIDIA's returns were. We know what CRM returns were. We know what Apple's returns were, okay? And we know the risk profile. But now in this scenario, I want to say, what's the probability if we invest in this stock going forward, am I going to have greater than 10%? Remember, I said 10% or greater. That is kind of my minimum threshold for investing in these stocks, right? I have kind of an aggressive risk profile here. I want 10% or higher. This stock, NVIDIA, we are 87% confident, right? The percent of return is 80% confident that we can achieve greater than 10% return. In this case, we're 77% confident that we can achieve greater than 10% return. Here, it's about 52% confident confidence that we're going to have 10% or higher returns. Okay, so I put some notes in here. Hopefully that makes sense. We're looking at probabilities. Forward looking now. So this is all backward looking, right? This is what happened in the past. We want to make an estimate and understand the probability of getting 10% or more for this stock. This is Microsoft, 68% confidence that we will achieve 10% or higher on this investment, right? So Control Enter to plot this using Plotly. I like these Plotly charts a lot. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. You can see Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble got about, these are two conservative stocks in the entire S&P, no, not S&P 500, sorry, in the entire Dow universe that we're looking at. So J&J and P&G got conservative stocks. You can see a couple are moderate, McDonald's, Honeywell, Amgen, Verizon, right? And anything that's red is a little bit more aggressive. NVIDIA is pretty high risk, pretty high return, right? So is this going to continue into the future? That's unknown, but perhaps, right? So this risk profile right here is aligned with a higher return. But again, is that going to continue? We don't know for sure, but we know based on historical probabilities, we probably are 87% certain that we will get at least 10% return. Now, is it going to be 70% just because that's what it was in the past? Who knows? Nobody knows what this is going to be in the future, right? But at least 87% chance that we'll get greater than 10% return, right? That's how it works. So we have that. Now we can add in an API sort of little tool here. So I'm prompting ChatGPT with this prompt right here. So I'm feeding in triple quotes around this. You are a financial assistant based on the user's investment style and target return. So the investment style is aggressive. Target return was 10%. Remember, I want a quick stock summary. Which stocks seem most suitable for this investor? Are there any risk considerations or standouts that you would highlight? Make your answer clear, investor friendly, and concise. Okay, so I have an API key based on ChatGPT's API. So if I go over here, I don't think I gave you guys the link. Let me just look for the link right here. ChatGPT API key. Yep, there we go. API key. So you can go over here and create an API key for yourself. Totally free to create the key. We'll have to log in too, right? That's fine. I can log in. You know what? I'm not going to go through all of that. Actually, I'll just do it. So, oh, I have to go do that. Okay, it's extra stuff here. Okay, I'll just go get the key. Sometimes 834039. Just go through all these hoops, right? And all I wanted was the link. Okay, I got the link. So that's what I'm going to share with you guys. Style input and style return. Yeah, so I explained that the style input was what we selected originally, and style return were captured from user at the beginning. Note, chat GPT. And that's the key. So you can get that from there. I'll share that with you guys, and you'll have all this code too. So very easy. Just go ahead and put the API key in a text file. Mine is on my desktop. You can have this on the network drive. You can have this wherever you want. If you put this on the cloud or something like that, you would need like login credentials and authentication and things like this. What's it called? Access management, user access management, or something like that. I just put mine on my desktop. It's pretty secure, and you go ahead and just tell the cell here, the Python, Jupyter Python notebook cell, to go ahead and extract the API key. So we get the response down here. It says, based on your aggressive investment style and target of 10%, the stocks that seem most suitable for you are these, right? And we had this is the AI piece now, right? We had this kind of business logic over here that we created before. So we know NVIDIA historical returns, what's the probability of greater than 10% into the future. We know CRM and Home Depot's historical returns, 53.6% chance of achieving this in the future, greater than 10%, right? So that was the business logic. This is more of a AI, artificial intelligence, recommendation engine, right, for investing. And we know Goldman, JP Morgan, Microsoft could be good investment options. What else is it saying? It's important to note the risk associated with each stock. NVIDIA offers the highest return, but also carries the highest risk. We know that for a fact, right? You can see that in the chart over here, highest return, highest risk. And there's always a trade-off, guys, between risk and return. You want those higher returns, that's fine. You have to accept those higher risks, right? Is that going to keep you up at night? Or you might get a higher return, or you want to sleep well at night and be more conservative. And there's always a trade-off, right? You want to sleep well, or do you want to maybe not sleep well? But there's a trade-off with everything, right? Do you want to eat well? If you're getting 70% returns, that's a pretty decent return. You can go out for some nice steak dinners, right? If you have a more conservative return, 2%, you're probably not going out for nice steak dinners, right? So that's the trade-off. Do you want to eat well? Do you want to sleep well? You have to make those decisions for yourself, right? It's important to note that investing in stocks always carries a certain level of risk, and aggressive investment styles typically involve higher risk tolerance, and so on and so forth. So that's a nice response from our Chat GPT tool. Now I can go ahead and generate a little bit more elaborate type of response from this API tool. All I have to do is change the prompt, right? So the prompt before was pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The prompt equals F. So we're going to go ahead and fetch this return. I have it in triple quotes right here, your financial advisor, based on the user's investment style and target return of, remember we said 10% annualized the following stock recommendations. So that's what Chat GPT is doing for us. Which stocks seem the most suitable for this investor? Are there any risk considerations or standouts? Make your answer clear and concise, investor friendly too. Okay, so we can change the prompt a little bit, make it more elaborate, and we're going to tease more information out of Chat GPT. You're an intelligent financial assistant. Okay, so we're really embellishing this at this point. A user has investment style of, remember we said aggressive over here, and the target annual return of 10%. Here is a list of candidate stocks. So we're going to take the stock summary that we generated return before, and you can see how this is dynamic, right? So with this came from the original 2 questions that we asked from the user, right? Those are the inputs, the user style and the target returns. And we want a stock summary, right? Please provide a detailed investment analysis, including the following. Evaluate which stocks are the most suitable based on the risk profile. Highlight any stocks that are potential outliers, either positive or negative. Suggest how a diversified portfolio can be constructed from this list, right? So we're giving it more guidance, more input, more feedback, right? I'm saying this is going to be a more elaborate, I'm requesting a more elaborate answer, right? The beginning answer, or the first answer over here at the beginning, was kind of simple, kind of straightforward, right? Now I'm peppering it or feeding it more information. Identify any concentration of risk overlap in different sectors, right? So you have like consumer durables, you have technology, you have software, right? You have whatever, like automotive, aviation, construction, government, for-profit, not-for-profit, right? These are the different sectors. Comment on any risk trends or signals, volatility, and momentum. Provide clear and actionable insights for the investor. Lastly, summarize the current macroeconomic conditions, including inflation, interest rates, economic growth, and market sentiment. Right? Be objective and insightful and friendly in tone, and assume the user has some basic finance knowledge. So that's what we're feeding into the prompt for ChatGPT, and we're going to fetch this information back from Chat. So Control Enter to run it. And let's see what it comes back with. Okay, and the response will be right over here. I can cut this out. I'm not actually using this cell. It's trying to some comments over here. This looks a little bit weird, but I guess that's okay. Yeah, it's fine. Oh, I think I know what's happening because this function key is off. Okay. Okay, anyways, So now we fed in more information and we get a more refined response back from ChatGPT. Okay, so based on your investment style of aggressive and target annual return of 10%, I've analyzed and provided a list of stocks. Here's a detailed analysis. Suitability based on risk return profile, so on and so forth. Potential outliers, so it goes into detail there. Diversified portfolio. I'm not going to read all of this, right? You guys can read for yourself. Concentration risk. So it talks about this point, right? And this is exactly responding to the prompts that I fed into ChatGPT, right? So this is really pretty cool stuff. Comment on any recent trends. That was the next one. This is number 5. Recent trends, right? So it spits back some information. Investment insights, that would be number 6. Clear, actionable insights, number 7. Talk about the macroeconomic and microeconomic environment. So I want to know the economy, right? What's the current state of affairs in the United States? So macroeconomic environment, that's point number 7. Remember, it's crucial to periodically review and adjust your portfolio based on market dynamics and your financial goals. Happy investing. Best, your financial assistant. So that's it, guys. That's it in a nutshell. That's how you create an AI-based risk tolerance investment tool that is providing recommendations for you, right, based on the user input, which we had at the top right here. That was right at the beginning. Based on this, we have the historical returns for stocks, 5 years total. We know the mean annual return, the standard deviation, daily returns, and the annual risk. So very helpful to create a risk profile. And based on that, we can try to understand what is the probability of getting at least that return that we asked for, 10% or greater. Remember, 10% greater is fine. I'll take more. More is better. And we have what was it called? Aggressive risk style, right? And then we had the chance to ask some basic questions to ChatGPT based on information that I'm feeding into the prompt, right? And then we got a little bit more elaborate response down here. So I just refined the response and asked a little bit more intelligent types of questions or more elaborate types of questions, right? And Chat comes back with more refined answers, right? So pretty cool stuff, pretty good. I'm going to wrap it up here. We are about, what is this, 27 minutes. Okay, keeping it under 30, keep it pretty crisp, pretty tight here. That's it, guys. So I'm going to share all the code with you. All you have to do is sign up for your own API key. You can get it right here. All right, it's totally free. Now, as you use ChatGPT, it does charge you a very small fee, but in my experience, it's been very, very, very tiny charges. It charges you based on utilization and also the number of tokens that you use, right? So I have a more elaborate answer here because I raised the maximum number of tokens, right? If I go down here to token, you can see tokens down here. I said a maximum of 1,000. So I'm giving it more freedom to give me a more elaborate, more refined response. If I go to tokens over here, it's only 300, right? So this response is pretty basic right here. I said, I'm going to give you some information. I want to keep my bill down. I don't want ChatGPT charging me too much. Even this is like pennies, maybe a couple of cents, maybe 2 cents to interact and get this kind of response, right? To get a more elaborate response, it does cost a little bit more money, but even this is pretty basic, maybe 5 cents, maybe 4 cents. You have to look at the pricing scheme, and I found that these things change a little bit. I think it used to be a little bit cheaper. I think it's gotten just a little bit more pricey, but everything in the whole economy is more pricey now, right? Just look around, there's a lot of inflation. I think the prices did change, but again, overall, very, very, very affordable. You talk about pennies here. This is just pennies, guys, to go ahead and interact with this tool. So I think it's totally worth it. Very interesting. And also the model that you pick is going to be priced differently too. They have a ChatGPT, I think it's 3.5. I'm using 4. This one I found is very affordable and produces very good output. Here's my output right here. You can see that, right? I think they have a 5 now or 4.5. Maybe it's 3.5. I'm using 4. They might have a 4.5 or 5.0. I'm not sure. But you can look at these different tools. It's on their website. Go ahead and check that out. I'll share all this code with you guys. I'll give you the code when I drop the video. I'll put the video up a little bit later today, so you have everything you need. You can copy and paste this as is. It's going to run fine. All you have to do is get your own API key, put it in this text file right here, and run it. I think this stuff is really cool, really exciting. and happy to share this stuff with you guys. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to keep it under 30 minutes. I'm just about to hit 30. Thanks so much for your time. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.